Hey guys, I hope this video finds you doing well. This is kind of an introduction to this unit, this little mini unit on over endocrinology, specifically related to macronutrient intake. Remember, we're learning about these different human responses to the food we eat to see if there's a way to figure out is it possible to eliminate or alleviate or reduce the amount of chronic illnesses that are prevalent in our society. Again, right here on the website here, I've got our objective, the things you got to know. According to SBE, you've got to be able to demonstrate knowledge of the general organization and functioning of the human body. So specifically pertaining to the endocrine system, have to be identify and explain the general anatomy and function of the endocrine system, including what is a gland, what's a hormone, explain how hormones communicate with target tissues and elicit a change, and that's going to pull in feedback systems and cascades and things like that. Understand the cell is the basic unit and structural and functional unit of all living things, and understand the major metabolic pathways occurring in living systems. This objective here and this objective here are both the same objectives we had last time when we were doing the digestive response, but again, I pulled in some more specific local objectives pertaining to the actual system we're dealing with here. So as far as metabolic pathways involving the endocrine system, you got to know what that hormonal cascade is, how a feedback system works. I've got resources down below that I'll show you here in a second that you can use to I guess, practice, assess yourself, study, if you will, what those things are. We're going to move into the interactions and specific hormones in response to dietary intake. So once we've got our kind of basics down, which would include these up here and this first bullet right here, are kind of the basics in hormone functioning, what is the endocrine system, and then we're going to take a look at, okay, so we're going to be taking a look at some of these more specifics down here. These three bullets here explain the roles and actions of specific hormones, response to dietary intake. We're going to narrow it down to some of your hunger hormones, ghrelin and leptin, and then two hormones that are actually impacted by the food you eat, insulin and glucagon. I will expect you to be able to explain the hormonal cascade initiated by elevated blood sugar levels, and explain what the insulin and leptin resistance are and what factors can cause them. Again, because those are going to come into play when we start talking about these chronic disorders that can come up related to the food we eat. So this first section right here are just a bunch of links over the general organization of the endocrine system and all the glands that are out there, because we got to know what those organs are. So you can see here it's just a diagram that lists some of these different glands and some of the things they do. Now understand, these over here are not glands per se, excuse me, these right here are not glands per se, because but they are tissues that produce hormones that can cause different things to happen, which is why they're included in this as well. But like I believe it says up here, containing tissues that secrete hormones, which are in tan. All right, so you take a look at those, see what's out there. Here's another one. This one does a pretty good job of identifying the different glands and some of the hormones they produce, like ADH, antidiuretic hormone, oxytocin, which I know this looks overwhelming, and we're not going to look at all these because not all of them are affected by the food we eat. We're going to narrow it down to the ones that are affected. We'll pull some of this other stuff back in later on in other units. But understand, even adipose tissue can produce, or fat tissue can produce hormones and cause other things to go on. Like it talks about leptin, resistin is a hormone. You got your gonads, your digestive tract. So there are numerous hormones that are released along the digestive tract in response to different things, which again, we won't talk a whole lot about those, but we are going to talk about some of these other hormones, specifically leptin and insulin. Again, this is just a blank one. You can take a look at it and practice identifying what those glands are. Again, it's just something you need to be able to identify what the glands are. And overview of the endocrine system. Again, this is just a written text. Kind of talks about how the two systems that control all processes in your body are the nervous system and the endocrine system. It does a pretty good job of explain the difference between the two, because they are communicating. They just communicate via very different mechanisms or methods. Again, it goes in a little more detail about talking about all the pathophysiological events are influenced by the endocrine milieu. In other words, all the different hormones out there have an effect on all the different types of cells. Like it says, no cell types, organs, or processes are not influenced, often profoundly, by hormone signaling. So again, take a look at that resource there. It kind of gives you a quick overview of what the endocrine system is. These next ones down here are about hormone signaling, how hormones actually communicate, different examples of types of hormone signaling based off the type of hormone, and then regulatory cascades and feedback system loops. Some of these are animations, which I'll create and post those videos soon. Again, this is just kind of an introduction to the things we're going to be talking about. Down here, I got the resources more specific to macronutrient intake. We'll be taking a look at pretty soon.